Welcome everyone to our almost last session of the Makers Festival. We really hope that you have had an amazing experience so far. And I'm gonna shortly introduce our facilitator for today. Okay, we now have 35 people. Let's wait for a couple of seconds for more people to join us. Okay, so I'm going to start. Welcome everyone to this session. Today we are going to take a journey together for an immersive future visioning workshop designed for impact makers who want to explore their evolving role in the years ahead. So I'm going now to introduce Elena, who will be our facilitator for this workshop.
Hi. Thank you, Angie. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is almost reaching one of the last sessions. And I tried to join a few of the conversations that have happened so far, and there's been so much inspirational elements to each of them. And today, basically, we're getting together to talk about our vision of the future and moving on from really this listening perspective to us dreaming together. Let me share my screen. And yeah, so it's about shaping our collective vision and really thinking about the last 20 years of the Impact Hub. I know that you started this journey of the Maker Days with the story and everything that's happened and how things have evolved. And really, as we look and imagine our collective future, is really connected with that role of like what it is and how can we best serve as impact makers in the future. And I like having this reflection from time to time because normally like how we define success, how we define what's impact for us, how we define what role the hub has in the city should be in constant change. Things are changing quickly nowadays, and it's so important just to have this moment of reflection, to dream together, to imagine together, and to think about how the time that we put into our work, what is really the best use of our time and energy. This is how I like to reflect it. And this morning, actually, a friend of mine posted this little thing that I put here on Instagram. But given all the news this week and everything that's been happening, really our role of having beautiful visions of the future is a form of activism on its own. So in this session, we're looking forward to hearing your ideas for us to come together to work together with different hubs, but most importantly, not just representing your hub, but also you as an impact maker. What is the role and how do you imagine how can we best serve a lot of our audiences? And we're going to start working from a path that has already been started. Some of the ways that we define who is coming into the hub, who are the people that we're working with and for, have already been put like into different categories. And I wanted Tatiana to pop in and share with us the work that they have been doing in Global so far with defining these different audiences and groups of people that we work with so that then we can take them forward. So Tatiana, welcome back.
Hello. Really looking forward to yes, this whole session, and I think it's really, really important to know what you're going to address. But I just wanted to give us a little bit of context, right? That's rooted in our strategy, actually. So you might recognize this as our theory of change, right? And if you remember, we're going after a just and sustainable world. So if you follow our theory of change, kind of from the right to the left, backwards, right? The two pathways that we've named are the entrepreneurial support pathway and the collaboration pathway. So when you ask the question about who, right, and who's part of our future and how we're moving forward, we should really think about the people that are involved in these pathways, right? So the entrepreneurial support one is very obvious, right? Supporting the entrepreneurs, and we have all these various stakeholders. The collaboration pathway, for some of you who have been in the ecosystem building workshop this morning, we talked about a lot of different stakeholders, right? And you might engage them in different ways depending on what they contribute to that collective vision. So I just wanted to root this in our theory of change, because the fine print at the bottom, if you can see that the foundation of all this work that we do is really important, because that's really about our community, right? The community members that we have, and we've been defining. I think the next slide shows us that we've been defining our community members, moving from not just the makers and those that are committed as actual paying members or program participants, but over the past 2 years, it's kind of nicknamed the onion, is that we say if we want to go after building our community of 100 million, which is our ambition 2030, it's not just about checking off boxes and saying we have 100 million paying, although I think that would be really fantastic. It's really about recognizing that our community is bigger than what we traditionally called our membership, right? So when we talk about this 100 million impact makers and working with community, and like you said, who's part of that change and what do we envision for, let's say, the next 20 years, let's consider those that are participating in different ways, right? They might be event participants, they might be partners, they might be investors, they might be mentors, they might be coaches, right? A number of you are on the 100 million page doing this count now. We're doing it for the second year, but there's also more and more of those that we reach and influence. And so this is like a funnel, right? As we reach and influence more people, then they come in and participate and commit and perhaps take leadership in different ways. Now, this 100 million is very much not about just, again, checking off and counting the beans. It's about reaching that tipping point in society. And when we came up with this in 2020 to develop our 10-year strategy, it was about that tipping point of reaching even 1% in our cities. And we're baking this into the year plan for the last piece of the roadmap next year. Is how do we even reach 1% of our cities? Because then we start to create influence in different ways. So the next slide shows that when we break that down and we say, who are these people? The next slide. Who are these impact makers that we're going after? This was some work that was done, I'd say probably 2.5 years ago, in a gathering that has started to influence our comms approach, but also a lot of our looking at our segmentation, is saying that we're very natural in the sort of the first area. That's the social change agents. That's our natural habitat. I mean, we were created to create a safe haven for these social change agents, these entrepreneurs, these people trying to make change happen, right? That really, need to partner with all kinds of folks and want the know-how and the support, right? So we're quite comfortable in that area. And again, depending on your context, you might, have other names for them, or, other typologies below this sort of headline. But then what about the old economy workers? Maybe we can find a better name for that. But this really came out of a conversation about saying we need to transition. We need to transition what is, the old traditional economy, what's not working, into something that works. These are sometimes people stuck, right, in the current economy, but they're the entrepreneurs. They're the people who are trying to, they represent knowledge and skills in a system that they want to transition, they want to move. They're inspired by these social change agents, right? They come and they partner because they need information, or perhaps they want to procure services and goods, right, in their supply chains. And we're starting to see more and more of these initiatives that hubs are doing to involve these people in making the transition. But then there's also the young purpose seekers, the whole next generation, right? They come, they want to be inspired, they want to find jobs in social enterprises, they want to create change. They have the natural impatience that also many of us do have, to see the change happen and not wait for 30 years to be in a leadership position. So how are we opening our doors and engaging young purpose seekers? And what does that mean if we're looking at a next generational change over the next 20 years, right? Those of us who have been here, now we've grown up a generation, we're the next level, right? Where we're mentoring that next generation. And we need to be, one, get out of their way, and second of all, support them. And the third one is the experience creators. Who are the content creators, the people creating experiences, the people in hospitality, the people who might be artists, the people who are creating the writers, this world, the journalists. Who are those people who are helping to create that narrative and that experience? We had a previous session also where people, and I know you go into this, Elena's a great expert on the design experience, right? The experience that we have as users. So what kinds of experiences are we creating for consumers that's different in the next 20 years than the past 20? We are in a different environment now than we were when we started as Impact Hub. And I think that's where I hand the challenge back to you, Elena, to lead us in thinking through that. Where are we and where do we want to go? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tatiana, for that context. And knowing that we're going to be moving on from this work that has been doing, but I think it's important that when we are thinking about each of these different personas, we can embody them and really think of someone that comes into the hub that is one of these, so that you can even name them to the point of like, actually, this is how this person is, this is how this person was, and this is how I think this person is going to evolve. Because this session is really about looking at how we can preemptively prepare ourselves to design new products, new services, new ideas for these audiences ahead of time, so that we have our offer there ready for them before they even know that they need it themselves. So I think that's the exercise we're going to be doing together. And since there's been so much content already in this last 3 days, we want to put all that content into something actionable that we can do. And part of the output that is going to come out of this session, it's really kind of like this, we'll put this here as working cards, let's say. But at the end of the session, we're going to have different ideas for each of these audiences that we are going to keep and share with the network. So whenever you feel uninspired or want to bring something in, or you're like, I need something new so that maybe perhaps we can plug in one of our business models, you can go into this idea collection that we did today, and you can start looking through them and perhaps apply some to the hub. And that's really where it goes, right? Like, it's putting these things then into action and into the spot of what we want to do next. So we are going to be working. We have 2 templates, so we're going to be working in a group, and it's going to be fast. So it's going to go to the point. But the idea is also that you take advantage of this moment to share between the hubs. What does this young purpose seeker look like in your region? What does this old paradigm worker look like in your region? So that we can also share and exchange knowledge around how these different personas are changing in different areas, right? And we all, depending on where you are, if you're more in a city area or if you're maybe a little bit more in the countryside, depending who your hub is working, these different audiences are going to look different. So for that, we are also going to assign you to a particular group of people, to a specific audience persona. It's going to be a bit random, so like that you get to work on it. But that way, we also get to kind of, I like designing with a constraint, because sometimes if we say like pick the persona that you want to work with, we go with what's more comfortable for us, or perhaps what we know best. But the idea here is also to motivate you to work on all the personas, because these are all in the end part of our network and people that are walking through our doors, and that also perhaps you could design for something that maybe you're not that comfortable with. But so what is it that we're going to be actually filling in? So you'll be assigned a persona. You'll be working with 3 other people from different hubs, and then for them, like, what is the biggest challenge that this person is facing today? Like, what, like, why are they walking into the hub? Like, what as a on what they are working on their day to day, what does it look like where are they struggling? What are they walking in to seek for? What do they want to be connected to? And that will be the challenges that they face and the support that we think we can give them today. And now the next question is going into this visioning. So how is this audience evolving? And here's where the part of really embodying who they are and what you think their dreams are, their pains are, what are they worried about? What are their main reasons why they wake up in the morning? why are they doing impact? Why do they care about impact? Is it, how is this audience going to change in the next 2 years? Are they the ones that are having a lot of, that are worried about tech savviness because they are very AI engaged, or they're worried because they don't know much about it? What is their focus going to become? So here, really, like, if you can share even examples of real people that are fitting this category that that are coming into your hub, that's super useful for this part of envisioning. And then a little bit on what what will be a future need. Like, what do you think that they will need to get to this evolution that they're going to? So do you think they're going to need some skills? Are they going to need more platforms, more ways to communicate? So based on that evolution that we're expecting from them, like, what are some of the needs? And this is the part, we're still not ideating ideas, we're going to do that in the second part, but here it's for you to already start thinking, like, what are some of the things that they might need in that evolution. And a little summary at the end, after all the conversation and all the talk, like, what are the top 3 needs you think, and what are the top 3 needs in 2 years? So we will leave that this part together, and this is really going to be a 15-minute conversation, so go straight to the point in your team, and start designing a persona and thinking about who they are. And so you will be assigned either a social change agent, an old economy worker, a young purpose seeker, and an experience creator. And if you want to give them a name and you want to make them more tangible, you feel free to take the template that we're giving you and make it, also play around with it, get a picture, whatever, so that we can really just see all these things, all the answers to these questions there. But the most important is the exchange of information between you and what happens. And we will be popping in to the groups to support you and to hear and to contribute as well from our experience in our hubs. So Angie, maybe you can pop in and explain how the groups are going to work.
Everyone, as Elena was mentioning, has been assigned to a breakout room. So each breakout room will have a persona. We are looking to have teams of 3 people. So please, when you see the breakout room, click and go into it. And remember the name and number of your breakout room, as in the next exercise you will be coming back to it. If in your breakout room you have more than 3 people, please go to another breakout room that has less than 3 people. And finally, we're going to share with you the link to the template. So you will just need to go to slide 12 and then scroll down and find the slide that has the name of the breakout room you're part of.
Great. So let's go straight into it. And I'll see you guys back in 15 minutes. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Yeah, hold on. I think that's Andy. Andy, can we mute you? Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. I'm hoping you had some productive groups. I saw people typing away in the templates, so there was definitely action happening. Great. So let me keep sharing my screen. We are going to leave the sharing for the end, also for like the next part, so that we can share both insights that you had from your persona and also the ideas that you are having with your group. So let's move to the second part, and we're gonna shorten this part to 15 minutes because we know you guys are active and fast, and we wanted to talk about what is a concrete idea that you might have for this particular audience, and you will share it kind of in a pitch format to the group. And the idea is to have bringing that future that you saw and those needs that this audience has to today, so that we already have that idea on file and we can already start picturing what are some steps that we can take already today to start developing with this person, with this particular audience? So what are we pitching? So you keep it in one slide so that we have access to looking at like your two slides. But um what is an idea that you have for this? So with your group, come up with a concept, be a little bit crazy if you want to, use pictures, do a little storyboard, make it entertaining because you will be sharing with a group. So what is one idea that you have that of something that can be implemented? Be very concrete about what the purpose of this idea is, and hopefully it would match some of those top needs that you identified for your persona for the future. Yeah, and why also does it speak to you? That is something that like your hub would do. And what is that expected income impact that it can have? Like, what if it happens, if we do this correctly, like what impact would it have in that person? What type of what are you expecting for it to happen to that vision? And going back to those two threads that Tatiana was mentioning, like we're looking to impact and people, everyone, 1% of people in your region at least. So how is that walking us in that direction? And then also not forget the financial sustainability. So if your idea has a business model behind it, or a way to make money, or a way to engage partners, or a way to bring together other stakeholders, add it in. Think about it as well. And this is a part. And perhaps for the financing part, you have a few ideas. So feel free to share more than one for that part, because maybe that idea can be financed in different manners. And what are some immediate steps if I wanted to implement this idea in my hub? What are three immediate steps that I could take today that can help me walk towards developing this idea? And finally, like if you really had to convince us now of why this is creative greatness, like put something there in your pitch that is like bringing us to understanding why this idea is a really good idea. I put an example, which is not a great idea. It's just an idea, but it's about like an example for the young purpose seekers. So like, what are we looking to do? How is this idea addressing the needs of the audience, and what there? But I don't want to bias you with this one, so I just let it there. I put it on just so that you see like a little bit like what you can develop. But be creative, go a bit crazy. You have 15 minutes to come up with something radical and something that maybe we've never heard before, even extra points for that. So squeeze all your brain juice into this moment, and yeah, and in 15 minutes we'll be back and we'll share some of that insights that you guys had and ideas. So go back into the same group that you were in, and if there's any questions, pop them into the chat now, and otherwise we'll be popping into the sessions to see how everyone's doing. Cool. So
Hello, everyone. Oh no. So do you need more time? I think we can like just share what you think, Elena. I think we cannot see you. Your camera is off.
yeah, sorry. I'm here. I said it's fine. I think we can just share whatever however you managed to have. So welcome back, everyone. I guess a working session towards the end of the festival. It's really like asking people to put all the energy together. But we had two groups working on ideas, and I think this is also a great opportunity for us to comment and yeah, bring some of those insights together and share what we think about it. So maybe Asa, what I can do is I can have the other group present first, and then you can present after, if you manage to get the kids or get the kids to participate. That's also cool. Great. So do we have someone from the first group, which is the young, let me check, just checking at the young purpose seekers, the social change agents. I know I lost a bit. Okay. To share, if you can raise the hand, whoever wants to share. Group one, and then we can just put you there, and you can share your screen. Anyone from group one can be. I know there was Wafa, Tom, Mala, Ana Carolina. Anyone, or we're just gonna put someone on stage. Okay. Do you want to present Wafa or Mala? Kirill, maybe you can put those people on stage, and maybe between all of them they can share.
Hello.
Thank you.
I was really trying to be like, where can I write to them to suggest that someone else does this, not me? But I'm here now.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
If you could
So
share both, like a little bit the insights that you had, and then how you came to that idea based on the insights.
okay, yeah. So the insight, well, yeah, just to like not go into too much granular detail, I'll just use the top three needs of today for the social change agents. Just to be clear, that's what we're talking about. One was safe space, an active safe space where people are invited into it, especially in the context of what is happening in the world. People's level of insecurity is definitely increasing. And so, yeah, providing them a space where they feel comfortable and safe. And Tom used a really good example of Impact Hub Belgrade during Euro Pride a couple of years ago, gave their space to be able to allow people to come in there. Sources of information in an increasingly noisy world, it's hard to know what to believe and what not to believe. And so Impact Hubs can be a space to sort of accredit almost but like deliver verified information and community as well. It feels in some ways counterintuitive given what's happening, but that to try and make people turn to each other rather than turn just to themselves. And then in 2 years, we talked about the need for media literacy, again, for the reasons I just stated, network. So building on community as well, making sure that people have the connections they need to do the work that they want to do, and well-being and resilience, so that they themselves are well to do what they can do. Then for our idea, Tom, are you sure you don't want to come on stage too? Because I feel like you had a better handle on this.
I've been told we can force people to stage, so
Yeah, Tom has very quickly said, you're good, Marla. Thanks. Yeah, so we're looking at sort of trans local program that merges both sort of participants or change makers as well as impact hub makers, so that because we also are change makers. And the idea would be to have peer generated content to build skills. So we're not having to like pay people from the outside, but also by doing it together, by sourcing the information from within the group, it would increase the sense of community there as people respect and learn from each other more. It would also include access to event space, as well as making sure that there's always the specialist components of well-being and resilience, and then also an element of facilitated networking and mentoring that comes. But the idea is to sort of, really create an ecosystem that is hyper connected across borders and using the skills and talents that already exist within our communities. And we didn't get on to thinking about how we might fund this.
No, but that's really cool. So it's basically a program, because I'm also like reading, but like a program
Yeah.
for the translocal social change agents. And I
And
think
thinkers.
I think from the needs that you identified, and this one about what is true, what is not, and the media literacy, one of the advantages that the network has is literally access to so many diverse viewpoints, right? So I think thinking about those leverage points about how even being in the other spaces and listening to other stories there can create that literacy, and that's one advantage that we have already in place. So it's more like, I mean, and beyond the social change agents, and this like to this reference as well, like I'm also wondering what is social, what is change, and what is agent gonna mean in 2 years. Like
Yeah.
just like media. So even to that, right? Like what is that person looking like, and would they even like self-identify in those
And that's
categories?
definitely something that we discussed as well, like how we called them, was it couch activists? Like in previous generations, activism literally involved you leaving the house and standing somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can do it from the comfort of your bed. And are they considered the same? And like, what's the next evolution of that?
Yeah.
Like, will it be actually that people are required to leave again? Or, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Super interesting. Feel free to chime in on the chat or raise your hand if you want to come in and contribute to the conversation, so we can really have it be a live contribution to the different ideas, because it is also on this space that like we can get insights from other people. I feel like Tom really wants to come on stage.
I also just knew that it would end up being me, because it would have been Angie that threw me out here anyway.
You're not the couch activist, that's for sure.
No.
But great. No, thank you for sharing that. And what would be some ways that could be funded, you think? Or did you not get to?
We didn't have an extensive conversation. Like crowdfunding was mentioned there as well, and like a sort of cross-pollination of the participants. But yeah, we didn't get quite that far. Basically, oh no, that's not true. I lie. We also talked about turning it into a sort of type of membership model in some ways. So you like pay to be part of it, a small amount, and you get access to all of the like content that has been produced previously, as well as anything else that comes up as the community grows and people to continue to contribute.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if in thinking about other stakeholders, like if some of the like corporate partners even to be part of the conversation, especially around the peer generated content. Because there you're really having access to how the social change agents are thinking and being part of the conversation, being able to contribute and almost like learn firsthand. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we underestimate because we're having so many, like in our own peer networks, we're having these conversations, but then you go to other spaces and you realize that other people are talking completely about different things and have no idea even about the language of what we're doing, and being able to bring them in is really like so powerful. Like I've been here now I'm in London, and like there's I was at the World Travel Market because of my social enterprise, and it's just like such a different conversation altogether. That if I'm sure that if we get like 3 or 4 of those partners to be like, hey, do you want to be part of what the social change agents are talking about across even Europe or around the world, even
Hmm.
so valuable in terms of insights.
And that's also absolutely. A couple of years ago, I was the curator for the Global Shapers, like WEF
Mhm.
Global Shapers in Medellin, and went to Geneva, and it was so apparent to me that the whole reason why Global Shapers exist is for WEF to have those insights from those 400 to 500 young change makers from around the world that they bring to HQ once a year and like do capacity building and training, great, but they also spend a lot of time asking questions, which I'm sure they then go on and sell to all of the big other people that they are involved into. So like if we could do it ethically, that
Yeah.
could be quite an like
No,
yeah,
totally. I mean, the questions that people are asking are worth gold in the different
yeah,
generations, and they change, right? And I think also to the how WEF actually does it. No, then they have the young global. I'm actually staying at a friend that's a young global leader here in London.
really.
I met her through that network. But yeah, and like it's they're there, they're listening, and they're like bringing the questions to the table. So even sometimes we're thinking about like the ideas, and we focus a lot on the entrepreneurs and what are solutions, but I'm actually
Hmm.
more interested in sharing questions and like
Yeah.
understanding, because that shares how like people are thinking and what's evolving, and then the
Mhm.
solutions are sometimes easier to share. But anyway, just some
But
reflections of
yeah,
bringing
but
that
then there's
together.
another angle as well, which could be the academics, right? So like the way in which things are being taught in schools and university and courses are so quickly becoming outdated that this group can then help inform so those curriculums get updated much faster as well.
Definitely. Yeah, so we're selling content and
We're
gaining
selling our data.
visibility.
Yeah. Ethically.
We have a business. No, of course, and I mean it is ethically because yeah, in the sense that like everyone would be knowing that we're doing this. I don't think like it would be a secret, but
Yeah.
they're part of the conversation. Great. Anything else that anyone wants to add or some ideas? I think from this also, like, even though there is power on having a very specific audience, sometimes turning it around and looking at the stakeholders after and the ecosystem around our audience can help us do this kind of like inverse thinking about how this idea is actually maybe something that we can do in different spectrums or even joining some of those two together. Great. Thank you, team social change agents, and specifically Mala for coming on stage. And do we have now the next group? Aisa, are you feeling ready now? Can we put you on stage? Kirill, maybe we can put her on stage and see if she's there. Because I know she like they were working on an idea and sadly um but she had her kids over. So hi Isa,
Hey.
how are you feeling about presenting on behalf of
Well,
you?
feeling or feeling, I don't know, but let's try to.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm here to help you
A
also.
little bit. Yeah, no, but also because I joined a little bit later the first breakout room, so perhaps not. I don't have the whole background, but what we were discussing were the support. I mean, with this new generation coming in, that is definitely quite more, let's say, quicker and up to date than perhaps we are in terms of, especially on tech innovation. We want anyway to be part of that journey and support them in giving and in coming in with new ideas. And if you hear sounds, it's because my son is playing football match in the house. So if you see screams, so he's doing his own
Hey, we're talking about young
Champions
purpose
League.
seekers.
No,
It's all good.
this episode is like that. He has his own Manchester City versus, I don't know, something else, or Arsenal or something.
No problem.
And so in order to be part of that journey, we see that we need to support with, perhaps could be peer-to-peer activities, or coaching along the way, and opening for and give them support to actually bring on the table what the ideas they have. We need to, of course, perhaps to give them the tech skills and the innovation skills, but the general idea is that to be for us to actually be part of that journey that will be our future. So in specific, we discuss, as I said, the peer-to-peer activities. That is something that we can do, so the capacity building. But we need as well to capacity build ourselves in terms of especially innovation and that side. And precis,
Mamma,
nej,
vi
inte
kan
li-
göra det
nej.
här till en himla.
Yeah, bravo. Sorry, that's the other one. And so peer-to-peer tech and participation, because we see that we need to ensure that their engagement and participation are still alive, even in this world where perhaps the balance can be quite fragile. We discussed especially the creation of an impact index that could be the actual tool of creating a tool of impact index, where we can measure also youth participation in that. Then unfortunately we didn't come so far because everyone left the breakout room, so we haven't really come to the idea of discussing perhaps step 1, 2, and 3, or perhaps sustainability, longer term sustainability of the idea. But from my perspective, coming from an organization previous to Impact Hub that works a lot with youth engagement, I think it would be interesting to open up and to build an ecosystem that involves organizations that can use empowerment and use engage participation, and we can bring in the enterprise perspective perhaps, and the more ecosystem, and that is the first step into the world of impact and of work.
Great.
That's a little very short. No, if Tatiana is in the audience, if she can jump in, and she was more part of the first breakout room. So
Yeah, there's you guys took quite a bit of notes there, which I think is interesting to also look at, which were a lot about some of the top 3 needs were like speaking the language of impact driven.
we don't have Tatiana in the audience.
No,
So
not-
okay, so I'm pretty by myself. So.
Yeah, which is what I kind of like taking here. And then the innovative thinking, and then the soft skills about confidence and networking. Yeah. And so I guess the top 3 needs in the 2 years was the business skills in different business models, and how to build lasting businesses, and international peer link. The translocal also came through. And I think even in the naming of this group, right, like with the young purpose seekers, there's so much pressure nowadays with finding your purpose at a young age, and it's really hard to think about a purpose. And one of the main I've heard, like, one of the more worrying elements is the lack of hope that there is, like, also in younger generations at the moment. I mean, there's already lack of hope with some of us. So, but imagine if we were in school now and thinking about the future. And I guess we as adults were also probably not encouraging too much on the hopeful vision all the time. So I think even there's like a conversation and something around multi-generational exchanges, because sometimes we're like in this kind of tunnel vision, like this is the worst that the world has ever had it, but it actually probably not.
No, but I agree, and I mean, as I was saying in my little experience, more in a private life where I have a quite big family, but I'm the oldest one, and let's say the younger the younger generation, even if they are quite, let's say, forward in terms of skills and technological, but still the traditional way of thinking, how if you have an idea, if you have work perspective, is quite traditional. So I
Mhm.
think that for us coming from this world where we have actually there is a world outside our world, and to help young innovators to actually open up and say, okay, well, I have this opportunity, why not try? And that is where the kind of bringing in the hope, that you can try, and even if it fails, you will try another time, or you change way. I mean, it's I think it's a cultural as well change that we might can bring in, uh,
Mhm.
coming from where for with the baggage we have, with the luggage we have, and the experience.
Definitely, and I
That's
think those
where comes the
stories.
coaching, peer to peer, and
Yeah, yeah,
new
no, for
business
sure.
model.
And yeah, and like the stories and what you're sharing that experience, and the really
Mm,
concrete things can really support that younger generation as well,
exactly.
as they're looking for who they are
Mm.
in this jungle of world that we have. So and also helping us, right? Helping each other. We're
Our
helping.
hope.
I have a midlife crisis like every 6 months, so
Oh, don't tell me that.
I want to self-qualify as a young purpose seeker, even though supposedly I'm already on route somewhere.
Yes.
Great. I forgot that this is being recorded, but hi.
Sorry.
Great. Thank you so much, Esa, for
Thank
representing
you.
the group and for bringing in that voice as well. We missed the voice of the old economy workers and the creative economy. So I leave those as homeworks for you guys to think about. But I did want to share my screen a little bit for one element because I've been thinking about, I think a lot about the creative economy and also how to bring this worlds together. And this is I'm always thinking like what is the role now? How can we really put ourselves in the future? And I really love and particularly have taken an interest in sorry, I'm gonna try to do two things at once. Um in trying to think about like what is the best way to inspire the new generations and to think of things differently. And this is the work here of a friend of mine who was in the COP. This was in Cali 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago in the COP, and it's an art piece called Biodiversity Jenga, which was really like about the fragility of our biodiverse ecosystem, how everything is related to each other. But it was really just positioned there at the entrance of the COP, and people were walking through it. And I think I joined the IDEO session also of this Makers Festival, and I think putting together art and thinking ourselves as a bit like Renaissance activists in a way can be quite helpful also for this times and when we're thinking about the future. How can we express our messages to these different audiences from a perspective that perhaps even beyond words, beyond programs, can speak really to our soul and to what brings us together. So I find in art, in music, in the exploration of more immersive time and space together, which I know all of you do and all the hubs have, and you can feel it in the power of the collective when the group comes together. But yeah, thinking about like what are those in between spaces between the different audiences and between us, and also from a more personal and yeah, and more from like our hearts, like what's coming out. So I think there is a role around and when we're thinking about the future. And that's why I wanted to that's why I like this quote this morning of like it's essential to have beautiful visions of the future, as a form of activism, as a form of the couch. Maybe this is the next couch activist. It's a beautiful activist, and maybe just in being holders of those visions of the future, which is something that I love about this network and about all the people in it, that we hold that space for humanity in a way, even though we don't have the answers. So yeah, so thank you so much to everyone for participating. I'm mindful of the time, and I see my backstage chats going a little bit crazy because we're close to the time, and we're now going to have the closing session. Feel free to reach out also to me if you want to chat about anything, or to each other, and we'll be also sharing what we have put together here. But if you one day wake up and you're like, oh, I need to share this with someone, this is also a space for the whole network to come together and exchange ideas. So feel free to do that. And thank you so much for the invitation to letting me host and facilitate today, and wishing you a good closing session. I'll stay on as well. Maybe Angie, do you want to transition out, or maybe this is it?
Yes, thank you so much, Elena. This was a really inspiring, insightful session. I think we have a lot of things to think about. What are the messages and the actions, and who are we trying to bring together with us to the change that we're doing? So please, if everyone can just join our last session, just go ahead and go to it. We'll see you there.
Thank you. Bye.